Today's video is brought to you by Card Kingdom. And right now you can get this sweet Scoop Soldier sticker when you order over on cardkingdom.com. Just mention in your order notes that you want a Scoop Soldier sticker when you check out. Hey friends, it's Tomer, and in this video I want to talk about free spells, by which I mean spells that can be cast for no mana. Commander 2020 recently introduced an incredibly powerful new cycle of free spells, the Free with Commander cycle, 5 instants that can be cast for no mana if you control a commander. These cards have generated a ton of buzz in the Commander community, with some already becoming staples in many decks. Well, at least if you can afford them. 4 out of the 5 cards in the cycle are currently over $10, with the most powerful of the bunch, Fierce Guardianship, currently sitting at a whopping $35. However, these Free with Commander cards are far from the only sweet free spells out there. In this video, I'm going to highlight 5 other free spells that I think are worth running in Commander, specifically budget-friendly options under $5 that I think are underrated and deserve a second look. I will cover what each card does, why I think it's worth running, and which specific decks the card will perform best in. First up is Snuff Out. Snuff Out has very easy conditions to make it free. If you control a swamp and are willing to pay 4 life, then you can destroy any non-black creature at instant speed. There's no shortage of creature threats in Commander that need to be taken out, especially when nearly every deck in the format has a powerful creature starting in the command zone. Any mono black or 2-color black deck will consistently control a swamp without even trying. Keep in mind that it doesn't have to be a basic swamp. Swamp dual lands like Watery Grave count as well, so even 3-color decks might be able to cast it for free with the right mana base. The ease of casting for free and the value of instant creature removal makes Snuff Out one of my favorite removal options in many black decks. The main drawback to playing Snuff Out is that it can't destroy black creatures, so there will be situations where the creature you want to kill is an invalid target. While this is a significant drawback, especially at tables with lots of black decks, on average you generally won't be lacking for good kill targets with Snuff Out. While I recommend Snuff Out for pretty much any mono black or 2-color black deck, there are a few decks that the card is particularly good in. While Snuff Out is rarely cast for mana, decks like Yuriko the Tiger Shadow and Demon Lord Bells Unlock will enjoy its 4 converted mana cost. The 4 life loss is usually a drawback, but can actually be a benefit in decks like Villas, Broker of Blood, and Selenia Dark Angel. And being a powerful instant that kills creatures makes it a perfect candidate for one of my favorite decks, Toshiro Umezawa. Number 2 on the list is Mogg Salvage. Mogg Salvage is instant artifact removal that is totally free, no additional cost, if you control a mountain and an opponent controls an island. Again, the lands aren't restricted to basics, non-basic lands that have the correct land type count as well. While the most common non-land permanent type is creature, the second most common is artifact, and there's plenty of highly popular artifacts that are worth destroying, such as Lightning Greaves and Skull Clamp. Being able to take these threats out at instant speed for no mana can be a huge play. Controlling a mountain is a trivial requirement in mono red and 2-color red decks, but having an opponent that controls an island is mostly out of your control, which is the real drawback to the card. Sometimes none of your opponents will control any islands and you'll be forced to cast Mogg Salvage for 3 mana instead, which certainly isn't ideal, but isn't the worst either. However, since green and blue are the most popular colors in the format, odds are pretty good that at least one opponent per game will have an island. Mogg Salvage is a pretty good artifact removal option in just about any mono red or 2-color red deck. More often than not, you'll be able to cast it for free, and there's usually a good artifact target for it to remove. It's also the ideal inclusion in red decks to draw tons of cards quickly that are bottlenecked by mana to cast them all and therefore love free spells, such as wheel decks like the Locust God and Spellslinger decks like Niv Mizzet Perun. Mogg Salvage is also a fantastic meta call in specific playgroups, such as ones dominated by blue decks. For example, Mogg Salvage is Red's very best answer against decks running the Dramatic Scepter combo, since you need instant speed artifact removal to break up the combo, and it'll usually be free since the combo can only be done in blue decks. Next up is Submerge. Submerge is instant speed creature removal that is totally free, no additional casting cost, if you control any island and any opponent controls any forest. be they basic lands or non-basic lands with the correct land type. The Commander format is filled with so many creatures that need to be dealt with the moment they enter the battlefield that having instant speed answers to them isn't just good, it's pretty much necessary, and instant speed creature removal that is free to cast is one of the best ways to handle them. Controlling an island is a trivial requirement for mono blue and 2-color decks, but just like Mogg Salvage, the requirement of an opponent controlling a forest is out of your control, which is the main drawback to the card. There will be games where Submerge is stuck in your hand as a 5-mana spell, which honestly sucks. However, since green is one of, if not the most popular color in Commander, chances are pretty good that Submerge will be free to cast in the majority of your games, though it does depend on your playgroup. I'm aware that some people dismiss Submerge as a bad bounce spell that isn't true removal since the creature's controller can just recast it later. However, this overlooks some key strengths to the card. Submerge isn't a regular bounce spell because it doesn't return the creature to the owner's hand, but rather puts it on top of their library. Not only does this deny their next card draw, so it's arguably a 1-for-1 all by itself, feel free to correct me in the comments section, but you can make it much less likely that they'll recast the creature anytime soon by bouncing it in response to the owner shuffling their library. If the creature's owner is cracking a Wooded Foothills, casting Rampant Growth, or Demonic Tutor, those are all invitations for you to submerge their creature in response, forcing them to shuffle it away. Because of how powerful its ability is, and how often you get to cast it for free, Submerge is one of my favorite targeted creature removal spells in blue, and one that I find myself running often in mono blue and 2-color blue decks. Occasionally you'll sit at a table with no green decks and it sucks, but I've had so many games where Submerge overperformed that I highly recommend it. It shines particularly bright in decks that care about its high converted mana cost, such as Yuriko the Tiger's Shadow, decks that want to put opposing creatures on top of their owner's library like Daxos of Meletis, and tempo decks that are happy to bounce opposing blockers for free, such as Edric Spymaster of Trest. Next up is Faerie Macabre? 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 Faerie M? Please be nice, YouTube comments. Faerie M. Graveyard decks are among the most popular in the format, and on top of that, nearly all Commander decks run some amount of graveyard recursion or use their graveyard as an engine in some way. Everyone agrees that interaction is important, yet a large chunk of the community neglects to run ways to interact with opposing graveyards. Enter Faerie M. It looks like a 2/2 flyer for 3 converted mana cost, but I've never cast this card. Instead, I use it exclusively for its activated ability, discarding it to snipe cards in the graveyard at instant speed for free. There are no hoops to jump through or extra costs to use it. You just discard it and you're good, so it's always ready to be used no matter what. I've broken up so many graveyard engines with this handy card. Muldrotha the Gravetide is looping Playcrafter over and over, exile it. Marin of Clan Neltoth is fogging all your combats with Spore Frog, exile it. Lord Windgrace is blowing up all the lands with Strip Mine, exile it. Since Faerie M's graveyard removal is an activated ability, not casting a spell, it also dodges most forms of counter magic. As great as this card is, the main drawback to Faerie M is that it exiles only 2 cards, so it's not that powerful against mass recursion strategies, such as decks looking to reanimate 10 or more creatures at once with cards like Living Death. So while Faerie M is great at sniping off key cards, you'll usually want a second piece of graveyard hate that does a more thorough job like Bajuka Bog. Running both in the same deck is a really sweet combo. Because Faerie M is so consistent and useful, I recommend running it in just about any black deck. However, since it's a creature, it's especially powerful in decks that care about either discarding creatures or having creatures in the graveyard, such as Garna the Bloodflame, Sir Conrad the Grim, and Gerard Golgari Lichlord. Also, since it's a fairy, it's a nice thematic inclusion for fairy tribal decks such as Una, Queen of the Fae. Regardless of where you run it, I do love pairing it with Phyrexian Reclamation. The 5th and final free spell is Fury of the Horde. Fury has the highest power ceiling on this list, but also is the most restrictive in decks that you can put it in. You can cast Fury for no mana to take an extra combat step, but it comes at a very steep cost. You have to exile 2 other red cards from your hand. Many people will immediately dismiss this card as unplayable, and for good reason. Exiling 2 additional red cards is too steep a price for just an extra combat step, at least for most decks. However, as high as the cost is, there's actually quite a few red decks where Fury of the Horde is one of the most powerful cards in their arsenal. The key here is to find a deck that is mono red or red heavy to the point that you'll usually have 2 other red cards in hand. And the deck's hand is either expendable or easily replenished, and most importantly, the deck gains a ton from an extra combat step. Years ago, my pet CEDH deck was Narset Enlightened Master. Yes, I was that guy. And Fury was fantastic in the deck. The entire deck is built around Narset's powerful combat trigger, which lets you cast the top cards of your library for free. The entire purpose of the deck was to fill it with extra combat and extra turn spells, so once you attacked with Narset, you chain together all those extra spells to take near infinite combat steps, enough to kill all your opponents. Fury of the Horde's high cost is irrelevant here because Narset casts it for free if it's on top of your library, and if it's stuck in your hand, then you get to exile 2 other red cards without issue because you weren't planning on casting them anyway. If you want to be a little less degenerate, then Fury is also great in one of the strongest Boros commanders ever printed, Winota, Joiner of Forces. Like Narset, Winota's power lies entirely in her insane attack trigger, and casting just 1 extra combat spell once you've set up a decent board state can immediately snowball into a game-winning turn, especially if you have a way to give all your creatures haste like Ogre Battle Driver. There's plenty of other red decks that can put Fury of the Horde to work. Itali Primal Storm trades those 2 exiled red cards for another round of attacking and gaining 4 more cards from the table. Subira Tulzidi Caravaner draws even more cards from her ability, and Zindersplit Eye of Wisdom draws another crazy amount of cards, while Okon Eye of Chaos one-shots another opponent, and so on. While Fury of the Horde isn't a good fit in most red decks, in the decks that really care about extra combats, it can easily be one of the best cards in the deck. It's my pick for the most high risk, high reward free spell. And that's my quick list of 5 budget friendly free spells that are worth running in Commander. I wanted to keep this video short, but if you enjoyed this list and want to hear about more good free spells, then let me know, since I can do at least 2 more videos covering this topic. Let me know if you like this sort of stuff, what your favorite free spells are, whether or not you agree with my takes. Like, subscribe, share, engage with the algorithm, bow to the robot overlords, all that good YouTube stuff, and until next time, friends, see ya! Thanks for watching the video. If you liked it, help us out by clicking that like button down below. And to keep up with the latest and greatest, click on the subscribe button, and don't forget to hit that bell icon to get alerts whenever we have new videos. And if you want to check out similar videos, click on the links here and here.